I really enjoyed the movie. I watched it last night and it was fantastic.
Oh, good,
Uh-huh.
good.
So, I mean, the first thing I wanted to mention to you was the first thing that really intrigued me about this film was the fact that it was written by Bret Easton Ellis, who obviously we all know was responsible for American Psycho, among other things, no?
That's right.
How much of this story was, I mean, it says that it's based on a true story, but how much of it was actually based on this theory of the Smiley Face Killers? How much was from the mind of Bret, and how much was from Tim Hunter, the director, and how much was Crispin?
Well, I came into the project, the film, through Tim Hunter, because I'd worked with Tim Hunter many years ago on River's Edge, which I had a great experience working with Tim on. And I was in production on my own. I make my own feature films that I produce on myself, that I direct, and I tour with them.
Yep.
And I've been working on one project for many years, and I was right in the midst of shooting a production segment. I don't do it the normal way where they do it all at once. I do it in different segments over years. And it just so happened that I was focused on this. I had, I think, a 4-day shoot in Los Angeles. Most of it I shot at my property in the Czech Republic, but I had to do certain reshoots in LA. And Tim had contacted me to be in this film. I looked at it pretty cursory. I didn't look at it with too much detail. I just looked at the role, and my initial feeling, I said to Tim, was really this character did not an actor, just an interesting looking person in it. So I turned it down initially,
Right.
but Tim was, really insistent. And so I said, we got on the phone and I said to him, I repeated the thing. He said, well, I really would like you to do this. And I said, well, and he was mentioning a kind of a prosthetic element. And I said, the way a lot of prosthetics are now, they look basically like prosthetic, a mask. And I said, but, if we could do something along the lines of what Lon Chaney was doing back in the 20s, where there was a malformation of the face with like hooks and things, which they don't do anymore, maybe that could be interesting. I knew Bret Easton Ellis was an excellent writer and well-respected. And I said, do you like this? Do you think you can make something good out of it? And he said, yes. And I trusted him. I trust him. So I said, well, as long as we can do this kind of Lon Chaney style work, I think that could be interesting. And he said, okay. So it was set up. And then I went to the meeting in the Valley, and the fellow who was doing the work did a great job. He knew all the details of the kind of stuff Lon Chaney had done, and with the hooks that malform the face. There's a reason part of the reason they don't do it anymore is because it can be painful, and it is not perfectly comfortable. It was something I had for. So, but I mean, what I have in this compared to the kind of things Lon Chaney did is minimal. So my respect to Lon Chaney both as an actor, but he was also the creator of the makeup, which is just amazing what he did, particularly the famous Phantom of the Opera makeup, which he designed it. And anyhow, so I don't know a lot of the details about the actual story or the elements of Bret Easton Ellis.
For 10 years, a group of serial killers stalked California's coast. During this time, police recovered the remains of multiple young men along the shore.
Other previous work, especially American Psycho, had been criticized specifically because it had been overtly misogynistic, whereas this was exactly the opposite. Did you feel that this was I mean, obviously very atypical victims? Was that something that attracted you in the fact that it wasn't the typical kind of scream queen victims?
I'm being honest in that what happened was, because I was in my the production of my own film. I was shooting, I think it was either 3 or 5 days, I can't remember, up to the day of shooting on this. And I had been approached not too long before. So my only connection with it was I read the part that I was to play. I had the initial conversation with Tim. I just said, "Do you like this script?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "All right, I'll do it." I read my part. That's what I know about it. I feel a little bit bad about it, but I was so concentrated on my own project that I don't know all these details. So I just figured the things that I needed to do to perform the part. And I was happy with it, but I wish I knew the answers. I knew that there were victims, of course, but I didn't even concentrate on who they were or what was going on, other than that was what I needed to do.
Well, I'm going to change my question a little bit then. Obviously, these killers, these people that are obviously stalking people, they're clearly very organized and they've got very clear designs. And the fact that you kind of really didn't focus on the other scenes and you focused on your own, on your own scenes, how did you approach that, knowing that these 3 or 4 people that we get to see had very clear designs of what they were after?
I looked at it as a task. I mean, again, a huge part of what my concentration on was making sure that the prosthetic worked, because I had a hook here and I had a hook here, and they're pulled down below a flap of not silicone, of latex. Right. And then there were wires that went into a specially designed collar, so it's hidden. And then I had to physically pull the hooks down with my own hands or attach them to a loop of a belt. And I was actually more, there was a dual concentration. So it was a concentration on making sure the prosthetic functioned, and then that I was doing the main aspects of what were needed in the scene. So in a certain way, there was just a very utilitarian, what I needed to accomplish in the scene, meaning move here, make sure that the hooks didn't, because if it pulled too much, it could actually wreck the appliance. So it was like a double concentration. I know that there's all the details. You're supposed to be concentrating on the psychology, and I did, but to me it was more abstract. It was just like, I have this goal, I need to kill these particular people, and I need to make sure the appliance doesn't tear out. Those are my 2 main objectives.
Stop taking his meds and stop seeing his doctor.
I mean, I knew, the character was, anybody who's murdering people like that is clearly psychotic, and there were certain elements that I talked about with Tim, but it wasn't, I hate to say it wasn't overly complex.
There's a theory that this has happened, and various members of the press have said that this theory has offended a lot of families who have been families of victims. No, so going into a film like this, was that something that brewed on your mind when you do this? Like, obviously you've got to be very careful with a subject like this.
The funny thing is, again, I have looked it up now. I didn't even know about it. I didn't know anything. I knew nothing about this until I know a little bit more now. I looked something up, I think, on Reddit or something, and I haven't gone deeply into the research on it even now. I understand that it's a theory, and it does seem a little bit strange. I feel bad that I don't know more about it. I wish I did, and I hope it's not making anybody feel terrible. I don't know. I wish I knew more. Tim and I didn't talk about anything having to do with that. There was some talk about something having to do with water, and that there was water as a part of the sacred ritual.
Yeah.
And that was more, what my understanding of it was. Now I know a little bit more that it's based on this thing, but I feel a little bad that I'm so misinformed, because I was working on my own film, and I just went in and did this because I'd worked with Tim before. I mean, I'm happy with it. I like it, but I just I even feel bad that I don't know enough in the.
If there's any consolation, I'm surprised that you didn't know anything about it, because it works really well.
Good. Yeah. No. Again, part of the reason it worked well, and part of the reason I did do it, was because I'd worked with Tim before, and Tim's excellent. He, you know, even in River's Edge, I could tell he was very good with his casting. He has a certain knack at dealing with kind of suburban lifestyle and dynamics of people and how they'll work together in casting, which I knew he would do. And so I trusted that he really went after me, wanted me to do this, and was really quite insistent. I have remained friends with Tim over the years. So, you know, he knew as a filmmaker, because I fund my own films. I don't have other people assisting me when I make the films until I'm on set. So I have to like arrange everything. So my mind was so focused on my own film production. I just looked at the very basic thing. I trusted Tim. I knew Bret Easton Ellis was an excellent, well-regarded writer. He said, good, okay, I'll do it.
Obviously, I wanted to speak about this production. I think it's the third part of a trilogy now. I wasn't aware of this trilogy that you've made. My sister, she's a big fan, and she really wants to get her hands on the film, because I believe that you only screen them when you're in person with the audience. Is that correct?
That's correct. I tour with them.
That's right.
I've been touring for 15 years now with my first film, What Is It? I go to theaters. I perform a live show of old books that I've reworked from the 1800s that are profusely illustrated. They're projected behind me. And I do an hour-long live performance. Then I show the feature film, and then I have a Q&A, and then a book signing. So I've been touring with 2 different feature films now for all these years. And I'm working on a third feature film, although it's actually not part 3 of the trilogy.
Okay.
It's a film that I shot with my father, Bruce Glover, an actor who, he and I had never acted together before, but he's been in films like Diamonds Are Forever and Chinatown, and it was the first time we've ever acted together. So I made this particular project to be able to act with my father for the first time. And it's taken a long time. This one, the other 2 films I shot on 16mm negative, blew up to 35mm prints, but the new film is the first one I shot on 35mm negative. So I'm in the midst of post-production.
The same initiative, you're going to take it on tour again and then do the same?
I hope so. I mean, you know, with the pandemic, who knows what's going on with the cinemas. I really hope this all clears up and we can open cinemas again. I love actually going to the cinema, and I tend toward liking older films from the, you know, 20s and 30s, but you know, I like films of all eras. I do like the experience of actually going to a movie theater. So I look very much forward to everything getting back again. I hope I get concerned about that.
Really, well, fingers crossed we can all get back to normal and you get to take the film on tour.
Yeah.
Wish you the best of success.
Yeah.
I hope to speak to you again sometime soon.
You too. Great to talk to you.